Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, Verse 14. Sri Krishna has just begun to speak in the Gita. So far it was mainly Arjun who was venting his grief and delusion. Sri Krishna has just begun to speak, and it is arguable that some of the most precious words have been uttered by him right in the beginning. He's not the ordinary seller who would want to save his best merchandise for the last. He is a lover, and he is dishing out the best right at the outset. Why should one wait when the best is possible this very moment? So, some of the opening verses of chapter 2, 2.12, 2.13, and now the verse today are also some of its most significant ones. So Sri Krishna has just said that the principle of continuity in Prakriti has to be understood. That there are just eternal processes with an unbroken continuity. And therefore the notion of a break in the form of a beginning or an end, in the form of birth or death, is inherently flawed. It is one thing to talk of detachment and say that one should not grieve over the departed. And it is an altogether different thing to say that no departure ever happens because no one ever arrived in the first place. That principle, I'm afraid, has rarely been fully understood. Sri Krishna wanted to rid Arjun of his fear and guilt concerning killing people by asserting that there is fundamentally nothing to get killed, that there is nobody who can get killed. For somebody to get killed, somebody must exist. There are just processes. And who can kill processes? Who can kill chemistry? Who can kill chemicals and who can kill physics? They are just rules, formulae, laws. They keep operating and they will keep operating. It is absurd to talk of killing a process. If something happens to a process, the happening is a part of the process. The process contains within itself the possibilities and conditions of all future happenings. And they are all governed by its own innate laws. No external being can change those laws. Therefore, it is absurd if an external being is crediting himself, even if by way of guilt, to be the changer of the law. But this, we said, has been misunderstood. While Sri Krishna wanted to put forth the emptiness of all phenomena, we have somehow managed to interpret just the opposite. He wanted to say that all phenomena are empty of any living substance, of any sentient agency, of anything that can be called as an independent individual consciousness. We have managed to interpret it as meaning that there is an eternal soul. Sri Krishna wants to emphasize that there is nothing within the process. If ice changes to water and water changes to vapor, there is just the change. And the change is being decided by its own laws, laws of matter. There is nobody inside the water molecule who is changing. That's the point Krishna is making. Instead, we have interpreted it to mean that there exists an immortal soul, Jeevatma, that keeps traveling from one state of material to the other. And sometimes when the material is disintegrated, read death. Sometimes when the material is disintegrated beyond repair, then the Jeevatma hops on to another body. That's the interpretation that we have taken. Not difficult to see why we have taken that interpretation. Because the Jeevatma is synonymous with the ego. We want to believe that there is somebody inside us. Therefore, the ego has decided that the ego exists, and not only does it exist, it eternally exists. Sri Krishna wanted to put the ego to death with 2.13. The ego has appropriated 2.13 to declare its eternality. That's the ego's rebuttal to Krishna. You wanted to kill me with 2.13, and I will, for centuries altogether, use 2.13 to declare that the Jeevatma is Shashwat. It just keeps traveling from one body to the other. Sri Krishna must be, I don't know, bemused, dismayed, amused, or disappointed. No idea. Are you getting it? He continues to assert the same thing. He says, 2.14, all the experiences that you have, heat, cold, pain, pleasure, they too arise only on the contact of the senses with their material objects. Please listen carefully. Please read with clarity. What he's saying is your experiences are chemical. Your experiences are physical. There is no experiencer. There is the sense and there is the object of the sense. And the moment they come in contact, what you get is an experience. You do not even require an experiencer to have that experience. It's like the principle of action and reaction. You do not require a reacting agency for the reaction to occur. Remember how Newton formulated it. He said, when there is an action, there is a reaction. There is action, there is a reaction. Did he say, where there is an actor, there is a reactor? You throw the ball at the wall and the ball comes back to you. Is there somebody in the wall doing that? There is the action and the reaction. There is no reactor. But the ego is deeply hurt at Krishna dismissing its very existence. What is the ego? Chemistry calling itself consciousness. Atoms calling themselves sentient. The physical calling itself personal. This is very, very nirmam. This is hard and cold stuff. This is not for those who expect spirituality or truth to be considerate or sweet. This is truth being served as the truth. If you don't like it, too bad for you. That's how Sri Krishna has begun. He's putting a lot of hope in Arjun's ability to understand, to bear the truth. Are you getting it? All of it, Arjun, is just so prakritik. That's what Sankhya Yoga is about. It's nothing but just Prakriti, the primordial principle, Prakriti. That's what it is. Why do you punish yourself over this? Your punishment, your grief, your tears, your vacillation is of no avail. Nothing is changing here. You were there, I was there, you will be there, I will be there, the forms will change. Both birth and death are just to the ego. They are false. All experiences too are just to the ego. They are false. So in the 13th verse, he talked of birth and death and all changes of the body being false. He said the kid becomes the youth becomes the aged fellow, and then that man dies, and then again the young one is born, and the thing keeps rolling. So he was talking of change in form as being empty, substanceless. Just the form is changing, there is nothing within the form causing the change. What you see is what you get. There is nothing behind it. It's just the body. There is nothing within the body. Today he is talking of experiences of the body. Last time he was talking of changes in the body. Now he is talking of all the experiences that the body has. Now, our common notion is to assume that if there is an experience, there is also an experiencer. Krishna is saying something very delicate, and you will miss it if the ego comes in between. Sri Krishna is saying there is just the experience. There is no experiencer. And if you have to insist that there is an experiencer, then simply say that the experiencer and the experience are indistinct. That the experiencer is born in the moment of the experience and dissolves with the dissolution of the experience. Because experiences keep changing every moment, don't they? No experience ever lasts beyond a moment. And the next moment there is another experience, even if a slightly changed one. So the experience and the experiencer, they rise and fall together. In fact, Sri Krishna is saying something very bold and very, very disruptive and unpalatable to the ego, that is. Not to. What he's saying is that even while one could say that the experience and the experiencer go together, it would be even more correct to say that the experiencer follows the experience. If you want to be just correct, you could say the experience equals the experiencer. And if you want to be perfectly accurate, then you can say the experiencer follows the experience. What's that? That's very subtle, very subtle. Because the ego really has no existence. Once the thing has taken place, once the happening is there, then it arises to stake claim, to take credit. So what comes first? The happening. The thing happens and then somebody comes to claim the thing. But they are instantaneous. These two events are together. So it is not possible to detect the time lag, because the experience and the experience are just together. So you cannot see that the experience came first and then came the experiencer. But if you can have a very, very minute observation, then you will notice. Then you will notice how sometimes, as if stoked by memory, your reaction arises after a little time gap. Somebody comes to you, right? And you're busy. Somebody comes to you and you're busy. And you are very occupied in what you're doing. So you look at the one who has come and you continue doing. And then after 2 seconds, your memory reminds you that the fellow standing there is an offender, an enemy, a thief, somebody who hurt you in the past. And then after 2 seconds, you suddenly get angry and you look up at him. Ditto for a friend. You are very busy in your work. The friend comes and stands in front of you. You look at him and you continue. And then you, oh, what came first? The sensory thing came first. Then memory mediated. And then the friend, the identity of the friend within you got aroused or took birth. So experience gave birth to the experiencer. And the memory that we are talking of, that too is a part of the process. That too is a chemical thing. So Arjun, what are you weeping at? Chemicals, atoms, molecules, electrons, neutrons, whatever? And mind you, all these were not unknown. They really were not unknown. Indians were already talking in terms of the Anu and then the Parmanu. There was already an inclination towards seeing that all universe is comprised of some fundamentally identical particles. There were no modern labs and other facilities to verify the same thing. But there was a thought, an observational realization that all that this appears by way of material is actually comprised of some fundamental particles. So that was known. Sri Krishna is trying to deliver all of that to Arjun in a small package consisting of just a few words. So we have reactions. There is a saying, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. One level of problem is when the thing is broken and you don't fix it. Probably a bigger problem is when the thing isn't broken and still you fiddle with it. That's what Krishna is teaching Arjun. Nothing personal. What he's saying is that there is nothing that's going to be killed. Who are you trying to save? It's already all right. Don't fiddle with it. Stay away, sir. Nobody is going to be killed, and you can't save anybody with your efforts, because there is nobody to be saved. And the one that exists is beyond all hurt and security. The distinction has to be very clear. There is Prakriti, which is not sentient at all. It appears sentient only because of your association with it. But if you can associate with it, you are not Atma. Atma, by its very nature, is incapable of association with anybody. It is not possible for Atma to have a second, to have a companion, to have somebody other than itself. Atma does not allow otherness. So Atma is incapable of association, and Atma is the only one that really is. All sentience, all consciousness has to be accorded only to Atma. And Prakriti is not sentient. Prakriti is only to the ego. To Atma, there is no Prakriti really. Prakriti appears only to the ego. Or you could say Prakriti appears only to itself. Because the ego is born out of Prakriti, so you could call the ego as Prakriti, at least born of Prakriti. All the sentience is accumulated, condensed in Atma. And Prakriti by its nature is just insentient processes. The fundamental error is to think of the insentient as sentient, to think of the process as a person, to see that there is a statue in front of you, burning with desire or anger. But there is nobody inside that statue. There is just the statue. And all the desire and anger are arising from the chemical content of the statue. So there is a gland somewhere that is making the statue angry or hormonally lustful. Remove that gland. What happens to the anger or the lust? Tell me, if that particular gland is operated upon and thrown away, where is your love or anger or fear now? And all of them, now we very well know with the help of medical science and technology and such things, all of them are associated with specific chemicals and glands and places in the brain. There are glands in the body, places in the brain, and specific chemicals that are secreted and specific states of certain internal organs. You remove those things. They are just pieces of material. They can be operated upon and removed. And where is your fear now? Where is your love and where is your lust? Everything is gone. So Prakriti has just processes. Do not accord doership or consciousness to Prakriti. There is nothing in it. There is just the mass of flesh. There is nobody inside that mass of flesh. Is that the rule, Krishna? Are there no exceptions? Krishna will smile very mischievously at this one and he'll say, we are born to create an exception, but we don't, so there is no exception. The very purpose of birth is that this lump of soil really goes beyond itself, exceeds itself, discards itself, and sees itself as Atma. But that does not happen. So soil remains as soil, atoms remain as atoms, material remains material. There is nobody out there in the Kaurav army on that side who has exceeded himself. So who are they then? Just soil. And who in his right senses cries on just breaking a thing of soil? Had there been someone there who was more than soil, I might have advised you differently, Parth. But were such a person to exist, why would he exist on that side? He would exist on this side. So if a person is arranged against me, that itself is a final definite proof that the fellow has nothing within. The fellow is all chemicals and hormones. Material reactiveness is all that person is. There is no person, so there is no slaughter. Nobody is being killed. There is just flesh and blood, which is all right. Today you can produce blood in a lab, don't you? At least parts of the blood tissue are produced in labs now, platelets specifically. You don't need donors. Show me one thing about your humanness that is not replicable in a lab. Show me. And if humanness were not replicable, why would you be so afraid of AI? Tell me. You are afraid of AI specifically because you know every bit about your existence is replicable, which basically means that your existence is exactly as artificial as that intelligence. You don't call it sentient intelligence, do you? You don't call it natural intelligence. Huh? If a fellow is afraid of something artificial, that fellow himself is artificial. That's what Krishna is teaching Arjun. We are artificial fellows. By artificial he means not authentic. Atma alone is authentic. We are fellows, separated from Atma. We are not authentic. We are artificial. And why are you then grieving so much over killing an artificial one? There is nobody there. What Duryodhana is doing is very much programmable. You can teach all of these things to a system. And the system will do exactly what Duryodhana is doing. Duryodhana is so old. Duryodhana cannot even surprise you. When the Bhagavad Gita opens, Duryodhana is nervous, terrified. That's so predictable. When Bhishma does not appear to be fighting with all his might, Duryodhana gets angry. That too can be predicted almost with precision. Now Duryodhana will get angry. When his side starts suffering losses, Duryodhana decides it's time to employ some cheap tactics. That too you can see coming. If a person is predictable, is there a person? Or is there a process? Karn is almost hardwired. I do not know the truth. I only know the gratitude of friendship. He made me king. I have to return the favor. Could Karn surprise Duryodhan? All these lives might have been saved. It was so easy to surprise Duryodhan. Go tell him, friend, I have to desert you because you are my friend. By being with you, I am bringing death to me and you. That's not friendship. A friend is not supposed to lead his friend to destruction. But if I stand with you, indirectly I am pushing you to your own destruction. So I am deserting you. Karn could have surprised Duryodhan. Karn didn't. So could have Bhishma. So could have Drona. They all had one great, beautiful and authentic reason to desert and surprise Duryodhan. None of them did that. They all operated according to their programming. Now, if you operate according to your programming, you are a system. Why weep so much on just disrupting a system? Go buy a new one. Your mobile application slips out of your hand and cracks. Do you beat your chest? I just lost my wife. Do you do that? Go buy a new one. There is nothing original in it. There is nothing personal in it. It has no individuality. It has no specificity. A million like this one can be created, and they are just the same. Are human beings not mostly just the same? So what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Their names are different, all right. Their facial features are somewhat different, all right. But look beneath the surface. Not much difference. Even soils have different colors and textures at different geographical locations and in different seasons of the year. No, that does not mean soils are alive. Or are they? You have red soil, you have black soil, you have alluvial soil, you have desert soil. You have yellow soil. And you have seen soils in monsoons. And you have seen soils in the summers. They all look so different. Just because the appearances are different, that does not mean there is somebody with the appearance. The appearance is changing based on conditions. Conditions. That's an important word, and that was just waiting to come. Conditioning. So are human beings, just conditioned. Our appearances change as per the condition, and that is called conditioning. There is nobody within who will not change. Everything changes. Look at the soil. Have you seen parched soil? Almost waterless, totally dry, broken, cracked. And the same soil, after 2 weeks of showers, how does it look? Oh, there is an aroma. It appears so full of life. The color has changed, the texture has changed, the very feel has changed. And there is some beautiful verdant grass. Everything has changed as per the conditions. A person who is changing as per the conditions is not a person at all. If you want to check whether you are alive or not, don't go to a doctor. That's not the best way. If you want to check whether you are still alive or whether you were ever alive, ask yourself, is there anything in me that does not change as per the conditions, that is not a product of conditions? And that question has to be very nirmam, very ruthless. Very ruthless. That's our favorite shop. My grandfather used to go there 30 years back. And then my father. And today even I, visit that shop. So we just go there. Whenever I have to buy my stuff, I just visit that. It's a big shop offering all kinds of things. So we visit that. It's like a family shop. Just as you have family physician, family shop. Just go there. And then a new shop comes up. More glossy, glitzy, offering a discount. And to top it, on the counter, there is an attractive lady. The 30 years are forgotten in less than 3 seconds. Are they not? Finished. The conditions have changed. So has your decision. You have changed, totally changed. And it's quite possible that the new shop is right opposite the previous one. And you'll have no problems showing your back to the 30-year-old association. Conditions are everything because you are a lump of chemicals. I'm not saying that new shops must be always discarded and that discounts must be rejected. No, not that. I'm saying it's also automatic. It's well known. Very well known. They were marrying their son who was evidently unfit for marriage. I asked them, why are you doing that? Don't you know? He's incapable of pretty much everything under the sun except loafing. Why are you doing this to him? He said, because if you don't do that, he will run away. He'll run away. So we are doing that. It's predictable. It's well known. Then, after an year of marriage, the father, who had some money, said, I'm gifting them a new small house at some distance from our place so that the couple can live there happily. I again asked them, why are you doing that? There is no need. Further, this son of yours would never have managed a house of his own. He's probably not even in a condition to manage a house even if you gift it. The father's reply was again the same. He said, if I do not send him away happily, he will break away with his wife. And it's to be seen. So before he does that, I'm taking a step in advance and maintaining the decency and politeness of things, gifting him a house. It's also well known. The same child used to be so upset and so nervous on not finding the way back to his home from a distant playground? And that was not too long back, just 10-15 years back, right? Where is my house? Where is my house? The sun has set and I've lost the way. How do I reach? And it's so predictable, the day he finds a woman, he will want to run away. Parents prepare for this thing in advance. If they cannot gift an altogether separate house, then they raise a new floor on the existing house and send the lusty son off to the terrace. He said, there, that's where you can do your thing. It's well known, because the son does not exist, only the stage exists. There was a stage when he was a kid and he had to cling to the mother. For the food, he had to cling to the mother. Then there was a stage when he was a teenager and he had to cling to the father for the protection and the money. And now that he is 20-something, he will cling to the wife for the genitals and reproduction. There is no son, there is just the stage. It is well known what's going to happen next. So what are you so sad over, Arjun? Think calmly. Does anybody exist? Rare is the one who can exist. Rare is the one who can take birth. Nobody is born. But you said somebody does get born. You said there is a possibility that somebody comes into existence. The one who comes to existence is the one who rejects the appearance of his existence. The Dvij, the twice born, is not someone who takes birth twice, but is someone who rejects his first birth. There is a great difference. Otherwise, we keep thinking that ordinary people take just one birth and extraordinary people take two births. No. The extraordinary one, the rare one who is being talked of, is the one who comes to see the fallacy of the first birth itself. That's the twice born. I was never born in the first place. Something was born. Something was born. Like a leaf upon a tree. Like a drop from the clouds. Like a wave on the ocean. Something was born. I was never really born. The one who can see that something happened, not somebody. I am something, not somebody. The one who can see that really with honesty is the one who discards the somebodyness, the apparent somebodyness of the something. And with this rejection, the veil between the ego and the truth is dropped. Not that he takes birth, he rejects death and merges into the timeless. If you consider yourself as the born one, you are separated from the truth by a veil of death. The moment you understand your birth as just a phenomena, a process, the veil of death drops. All fear drops. All fear is just death. It drops. And fearlessly, you are just Atma, which is that you are no more. Only the Atma is there. You see that your own existence
bounded on the two sides by birth and death, is just phantom appearance, a fallacy, just an apparition. It appears, but is not. What does the spiritual man do all day? A koan, a joke for you. He surprises himself. He does stuff he is not supposed to do. He surprises himself. What is sadhana? Constantly springing surprises upon yourself. Because if there are no surprises, there are just dull, old, predictable processes. Surprise yourself. Come on. In this moment, show me how not to be angry. Your thoughts are running all the time. Come on, surprise yourself. Stand still. Can you? And then you find you can't. If you can't, then you aren't. Oh. Oh. Why can't I stand still? Because you aren't. To stand still, there must be somebody to stand still. You are just a flow of water. The Yamuna is gushing. Can the waters afford to stand still? No. They are not allowed by the laws of their physicality to stand still. They have to keep gushing. Now you know what miracles are. And now you know why miracles are so intimately related to religion. There is no religion that does not talk of miracles. You know what miracles are? Come on, surprise me. Huh? Something that is not phenomenal. Something that cannot be dictated by processes. That is something that is beyond Prakriti. And the entire field of religion is the transcendence of Prakriti. Therefore, miracles have such an important place there. But we don't understand that. We think of miracles as something material, whereas miracles are transcendence of the material. So if I wave my hands this way and produce some kind of sweetmeat to you, or a pigeon, or some ash, you will say this is miracle. No. Miracle is when I do this and nothing happens. That's a miracle. Because that's supposed to happen, no? The one sitting on the chair is supposed to be a spiritual master. So the moment he circles his hands, something is supposed to happen. When it doesn't happen, that's a miracle. A miracle is a violation. A miracle is a violation of the expectation, of the norm. Miracle is a divine deviation. Can you deviate from your conditioning? That's a miracle. Therefore, saints have been in folklore known to tell the gushing waters to stop, and the waters have stopped. Ram has been known to tell the ocean to make way for his army. And the ocean is said to have made way for the army, or violated its own laws by saying, all the stones that you will put in me, I'll not let them sink. I'll violate the principle of buoyancy. Let Archimedes go to hell. And the stones will not sink. What is that? That's a great pointer. That's a beautiful pointer, but we do not understand that. We think that the stones are actually floating in a physical way. The pointer is that divinity is nothing but a transgression of the physical conditioning. Otherwise, there is just Prakriti. You are the stone and you will definitely sink in the water. Can you not sink in the water? If you demonstrate that you cannot sink in the water, then you exist, and if you exist, you are divine. All existence is divine. But not existence of the chemical kind. Are you getting it? The water is not just out there, the water is in here as well. No? And when the water rises within, is there anybody in you who can command the water to stop or slow down? Does that happen? Does that happen when the water is rising? Call the water as some fluid, a hormone, some chemical. When it rises, are you able to command it to stop? No. That's what the great folklores, the tales have been pointing at. But we have been failing continuously in understanding them. There is heat and there is water. And at normal conditions of pressure, water cannot refuse to evaporate at 100 degrees. Because there is nobody in the water to offer the refusal. The moment you put in that kind of heat, water is helpless, choiceless. It will evaporate. Equally, if that temperature has not been attained, water will not evaporate, come what may. Even at 99.5, water will just, keep sitting in the vessel. I will not evaporate. Yes, dear heat, you have worked quite hard, but you are still not there. Come on, one step more. That's how we are. A little heat and we evaporate. And we very well know when we will evaporate. Today, just now there is news regarding a scientist, an Indian scientist who was honey trapped. And it is so predictable that the fellow is a male of such and such age. And he will be very vulnerable to women and he can be honey trapped. Any organization can be permeated. Just send a woman. And even the most core person will immediately fall. The fellow has been arrested now. He is being taken to the court. The line caught my attention. The headline, it said, "Baby ko Brahmos pasanda." A scientist was working on something so damn important. And then baby came over. And then the fellow just vomited everything. All the top national secrets were compromised. It is so predictable. Honey trapping. It's been known and it still works. There is nothing surprising in it. It's known well in advance. You very well know it will affect the person and it still affects the person. It's like a virus. You may be a virologist. You may know very well how let's say the COVID virus works, but that does not make you immune to the virus. The virus will affect you as well in spite of all your knowledge. That's Prakriti. They do not exist, Arjun. Don't hesitate. Finish them off. Because there is nobody. Why repent? Why remorse? Too much for Arjun, evidently, right? This doesn't work. Krishna understands that this is going to be a steep climb. This particular nut from Prakriti is a tough nut. observe yourself or observe others. If it becomes too difficult to observe oneself, ask yourself, could this person have behaved any differently? No. And if he couldn't have behaved differently, where is a person? There is no person. The fellow asked for 5 rupees. You give him 3. You know what will happen. Tell me what will happen. And if you don't offer him more, he'll get angry. Is there a person? This much even a machine could have done. Can't a machine do this much? Then that again brings us back to AI. You see how terribly scared we are. And ostensibly already lots of jobs are being lost to AI. That simply means that the ones on those jobs were not people at all. Now this is so inhuman to say that, right? And somebody might as well sue me. They say you are not just disparaging us. You are totally discounting us. You're saying we don't exist. Had you really existed, how were you replaceable? How are you replaceable? To be human is to be unique, authentic, irreplaceable. If you are replaceable, you are not. We think of thought as our defining characteristic. Thought is so very programmable. Ask people, what is the difference between a human being and a machine? And 90% of them are likely to answer, we can feel. Machines can't feel. And that proves exactly that you're not a human being. Because what you're calling as a feeling is merely a phenomena. It can be programmed. There is nothing inside the feeling. How do you know you are feeling? How do you know somebody else is feeling? By virtue of certain happenings, right? If you are feeling, for example, certain things happen within the body. Or your eyes start welling up. Or your ears grow red. Your cheeks flush. Your body temperature rises. Your head starts spinning or feeling heavy. That's what emotion is. Right? Or you are angry, so your hands start shivering. So all these are very physical, are they not? And you also know when is it that you would go emotional. You very well know the particular stimuli, right? Now, can't all that be simulated? Please tell me. Can't all that be very, very accurately simulated? So aren't emotions, contrary to your claim, the very proof that you are not a person but a machine? If you can be emotional, you are just mechanical. You can have machines displaying exactly the same emotions as you do. And all those machines, mind you, will pass the Turing's test. If that machine is in front of you and you abuse that machine, the machine will respond as a person does. Exactly the same way. You'll not be able to detect whether that's a machine or a person. So emotions don't make you conscious, nor are thoughts or a proof of your consciousness. That you are truly conscious or alive is proven by something else. It is proven by your ability to stay still. Stay still. Stay still as if you don't exist. as if you don't exist. Because that which exists in the physical sense will be shaken by something or the other, right? So there is this room. And if a great wind blows, a few things will be blown away very easily. A few things will not be blown away easily. But ultimately everything will be blown away because it exists. If it exists, it will be carried away. The only thing that will not be carried away by the winds is the, come on, Ashtavakra, space. Because it does not exist. In this room, if there is a great flood, ultimately everything will be carried away, including the walls. Forget about the objects inside the room. Even the objects that define the room will be carried away. The walls too will be gone. What is it that the winds or the waves will never take away? The space. And space is non-existence. Can you have that space, that Ashtavakriyan space inside you? Something that no wind can ever blow away. Something that can never be touched. Only then you are alive. Otherwise, let AI take over. Getting it. This is probably too much for Arjun to digest. He doesn't budge. Maybe you will do better. Krishna is still hopeful. Didn't he say, I have always been there, you have always been there, and if the two of us have always been there, I have continuously been trying. What else can I do with you? The day you really understand the two of us will not be there, only one of us will remain. Which one? Not understood. The day Arjun stands, the two of them will not be there, only one will remain. Which one? Krishna. The fact that both of us have continued to remain means that you have never understood. So he is still trying. Arjun is still resisting. Let's see how this unfolds. Are you getting it? What is compassion then? If people are just things, if movements are just processes, what is compassion then? What is compassion? If people are just things, why do we abhor Hitler so much? People are things, they are dispensable. What is compassion then? Compassion is to know that people are things with a potentiality to go beyond their thingness. People are like seeds. Seeds that appear so much like little pebbles, de facto pebbles, but with just a slender possibility of giving birth to something lively and swinging in the air, in the winds. That's why a Hitler is looked down upon and must be looked down upon. What then is the difference between what Hitler did and what Sri Krishna is advocating? The difference is that Hitler preyed upon those who really were left with no choice. They were picked up and ferried to the gas chambers. They had no choice. They didn't, of their sovereign choice, walk to their points of annihilation. But the ones who are arrayed against Arjun have come to that point on their own feet. They always had choice. And to be doubly sure that they had choice, Sri Krishna himself walked up to Duryodhana and offered him a choice, even at the last moment. So they had the choice, but they refused the choice. And the proof of existence of consciousness is, first of all, the caliber to see that there exists a choice, and then the decision to make the right choice. The ones in front of Arjun are not hapless victims. In fact, they stand there to victimize the Pandav side. They are not innocent people, standing to be slaughtered just by quirk of fate. They have marched to the battlefield, loaded with ammunition, prepared to strike. That's the difference between genocide and dharmyuddha. You getting it? Potentially we all have choice. But if we neither see nor exercise that choice, then we are just dead matter. Just dead matter. Look at a dead body. How is it different from a so-called living being? It has no choice. You pick it up, it cannot refuse. You hurl abuses, it cannot respond. That's why you call it dead, no? Now I leave it to you. Which of these is a greater deadness? You abuse a dead man and he cannot raise his hand. He does nothing. This is deadness. You abuse a living man and very predictably he raises his hand to slap you. I do not know which of these is a greater deadness. Which of these is a greater deadness? Come on, surprise yourself. Be like the dead even while alive. And then you will be alive even after you are dead. There is nothing within you designed to go against yourself. You are designed to go with the Prakritic flow. Can you invoke that which cannot flow? Can you be the one who is at a distance from all the flow and therefore can itself never flow? Possible? I don't know. Depends on you. Everything is a choice. All the experiences are born upon contact of senses with the objects. They all begin, they all end, they are impermanent. So bear them without being disturbed. Titikshasva. Here comes our word. Titikshasva. Now you know why the word is so important. Titiksha, to bear without being perturbed. To bear with calmness and patience. To bear as if it is not happening to you. As if it is happening to somebody else. To talk of yourself as if you are talking of somebody else. That's titiksha. Because if it's happening to you, ultimately you will be moved. Maybe there will be a difference in degree. Somebody is shaken up quite easily. And somebody takes a little more to be disturbed. But ultimately you will go. Titiksha is to live as if somebody else is living. Tiksha is to experience as if the experiencer is somewhere out there. I'm not the experiencer. Somebody experienced something. Somebody got jealous. Somebody got offended. Somebody got tired. That's titiksha. Somebody is sleepy. I am not. Somebody is hungry. Now you know why spiritual practice all over the world. You can see me coming, right? It's predictable. Why spiritual practice all over the world has had elements of austerity. Fasting, upvas. In all traditions, this has been there. So that you can get the opportunity to see that somebody else is hungry. I am not. And abstinence. Somebody else is sexually aroused. I am not. And you have to walk your way all the way up the hills. Sometimes with naked feet. Pilgrimages. Somebody else is hurt and bleeding from the feet. I'm not. Who am I? The one who must be up there. Let the feet bleed. I have to be there. And if the bleeding feet can cause you to stop, that's just an algorithm. Decision box, the rhombus. Are the feet bleeding? Yes, stop. No, continue. Class 8th. You have to surprise yourself. Are the feet bleeding? Yes. Now I continue. They are impermanent in their nature. They are time bound. There is nothing in it because whatever it is, it will come to an end. It's a bubble. What kind of credibility can you associate with a bubble? In fact, when you have to call something as not reliable, not long-lasting, then you call it a bubble. And what is the bubble? Something with impermanence, that's a bubble. If you know it is impermanent, why invest yourself in it? Do you want to invest in a bubble as a financial decision? No. Any moment it can come down crashing. Everything will be gone. Why put yourself into it? It has come. It will go. That's how the wise one looks at all the phenomena. It has come. It will go. It has gone. It will return. Who am I to participate in it? It does not even need my participation. I would be an utter fool to jump in. You're standing at the beach looking at the waves. It has come. It will go. It will go. It will come. And then there is the valiant fighter who decides to save the wave. Save the wave. He said, see, it is coming and it has to be saved. Otherwise it will be lost, and that's called death. Who am I? A lifeguard. I'm supposed to save the wave. That's how we go through our lives, trying to save the wave. There is no loss. The next one is on its way. The only way then to save the wave is by letting it become the ocean. Otherwise, there is no point rushing at the wave and trying to capture it or putting a blanket on it. I don't know what else can be tried. We are very innovative people, you know. A lot of entrepreneurial concerns will just arise. And they'll raise fund and might even become some unicorns. What a novel business idea. Save the wave. If you can attract so much funding for settling on Mars, why not for saving the wave? Let it become the ocean. It's not going anywhere. There is no death. The wave cannot be saved, and the ocean does not need to be saved. In either case, your participation is useless. Go away. You are nobody. And you can do nothing. No, but if I am not there, who will do all these things that I do? You anyway do nothing. Only the chemicals do everything. No, but you know, I go to the office, that's your chemicals. I work there, that's your chemicals. I get paid. That's again a phenomena. You are anyway not doing anything. No, but if I am not there, who will drive the car? Think of it. Think of it. Are you really needed to drive the car? If consciousness is needed to drive the car, how come we have driverless cars? If consciousness is needed to drive the car, how come we have driverless cars? Which means when you are driving the car, you are just imagining that you are driving the car as a sentient entity. The fact is, there is an algorithm in the body that's driving the car. The algorithm exists, you do not. And the same applies to everything that you do throughout the day. The algorithm exists, you do not. And mind you, driving a car appears at least a moderately sophisticated function. Does it not? You have to make so many decisions. one after the other, sometimes simultaneously. Huh? Push the clutch and jam the brakes. If you miss either of these two, and if these two are not together, then the outcome is not optimal. So much of processing happens when you're driving the car. But that much processing even a machine can do. You then are not needed. That may also mean that you are anyway not doing the driving. If a machine can do that, a machine is doing that. And it's beautiful to watch your machine nature. That's Anand, to watch Prakriti, right? And Prakriti is machine. If you can see how the machine operates, you're driving the car, fine, drive the car, all right. I understand you can't afford that kind of driverless car. Please drive the car. You're driving the car. Can you see it's machine doing the thing? Fine. The feet are moving, so are the arms. The eyes are looking at the road. Can you see how there is a machine at work? And if you can do that, those moments of the drive are your sadhana. You don't need to sit in a corner with a rosary or with a mat or something. You don't need to close your eyes. Don't close your eyes when you're driving, by the way. The moment I say sadhana, the eyes automatically close. That too is algorithm. Keep your eyes open, drive the car and see how it's an auto-driven thing. Can you let the same thing happen, the same observation, the same seeing happen in moments of distress? Driving is not distress, so it's easier to see it there. But you are sad, right? Or you are agitated or hurt, offended, something. Or you are aroused. Your favorite plaything is right in front of you. And he or she is just so provocative this moment. And can you see how the machine is functioning? Can you see how it's all so predictable? Can you see? We are not talking of suppressing it. We are talking of seeing it. Can you see? And if that be the case, why is it a problem if the function of making babies is outsourced to factories? Because it is anyway factories, internal factories in flesh and blood that are producing babies. That's what I have been saying. Liberate women of the role of carrying the baby. Why are you unnecessarily destroying their potential for years altogether? 9 months they are pregnant and then they have to perform other physical functions with respect to the baby. It is anyway the output of a factory. It is anyway so mechanical, so programmable, predictable, everything, right? So let it happen in a lab. That will be more decent. That will be more befitting to the dignity of the human potential. Our potential is to become the ocean, not to become a mother. The lady is born to become the ocean. Instead, you made her. There is no point. And I'm not against babies. I'm just saying, let them be a laboratory affair. But that appears inhuman to so many people. They say, this chap, forget about him being spiritual. Is he even human? He is talking of babies as shoes and spoons. He is saying, let them come from factories. I'm saying they're already coming from factories. It's just that you do not realize that the womb is a factory. You don't realize that. That's your problem. See, again, he is degrading the dignity of the God-gifted female body. All right, drop out. Thank you so much. If you're just the body is entirely replaceable, is it not? Have you heard of the riddle behind the ship of Theseus? There is a ship. And every bit and every part and every nut and bolt of it has been changed, replaced. Now tell me, is it the same ship or a different ship? That's the query. And every part of you is replaceable. Every part of you is replaceable. You don't have the femur is gone, the thigh bone. What do they put in there? A rod. And you're walking as if it's all okay. Everything is coming up factory grown. From kidneys to livers, even heart. It's been more than 50, 60 years now. A chimpanzee heart was put inside a human being. Think of it. The heart of an ape. Some monkey. And the man survived, at least for a while. And heart transplants are so common these days. Eye transplants, ear transplants, everything can be transplanted. The only thing that has not been achieved till now is a soul transplant. Tell me why? Because the soul does not exist. Had it existed, let me assure you, it would have been transplanted. There is nothing called the soul. Somebody asked me, what is the soul? I said, a concept. It's not a thing, but a concept. They say, no, he says the Atma does not exist. When did I say Atma does not exist? No, the soul is the Atma. Na? Go improve your vocabulary, please. The soul is not the Atma. The soul is your imagination, the Jeevatma. Atma alone exists, and the Atma is not the soul. Soul, spirit, all these are nonsense. Vedanta does not admit them. Vedanta admits only the three. Only the three. Huh? Which three? Aham, Atma, Prakriti. That's all. No complications. Where is the soul in this? Show me where is the Jeevatma. There is no Jeevatma. No, you know, but once the scientists performed an experiment, sir. Yes, sir. So they took a mouse and they put it in a glass jar and they closed the glass jar, and when the mouse died, it has to die, poor mouse, because of lack of oxygen. The glass broke. What does that prove? Well, the Atma was there and it flew away. That's why the glass broke, so that the Atma could fly away. Let's do some number crunching now. How thick was the glass? What was the density of the glass? What was the strength and other things, tensile strength of the glass? And how thick does the glass need to be so that it does not break? From that we will calculate how powerful the Atma is. What if you have titanium instead of glass? No, sir, but would it still break? How big is the Atma? What if you put an elephant in there? No, sir, but something has to be there to fly away. But why does it decide to fly away? Why can't it sit inside? No, sir. Generally, sir, it has to fly away. Why do you talk so much nonsense? Sir, the ego has to be defended. The Jeevatma is the ego. They have everything in common. Both of them appear to exist, but they don't. The Jeevatma is Aham. Vedanta admits only these three. Only these three. What you call as the Jeevatma is nothing but the Aham. So, sir, there is nothing beyond the body? No. But, sir, there are entire books written on disembodied things, sir. If after the body there is nothing, what is this disembodied thing, sir? Everything that you can think of is a body. There is nothing without a body. You know what is a body? A body is a field with limits. This that you called as body is a field. It's a sensory field with physical limits. So the body is anything. Everything in Prakriti is limited. Everything in Prakriti is bodily. There is nothing disembodied here. Everything is a body. Everything is a body. So, sir, there can be gross bodies and subtle bodies, that much you admit. All bodies in Prakriti follow the laws of Prakriti, subtle or gross, whatever, does not matter. Molecular level, galactic level, does not matter. The laws have to be followed. You could have a planet as big as Jupiter or Saturn, and you could have a little ball of glass. Both of them will follow Newton's laws. And you could have the lightest element and the heaviest element. Inside their nucleus, Newton's laws will not operate. Some other laws will operate. The laws are laws, well defined, very clear. The laws do not vary from body to body. But disembodied bodies we cannot see. You cannot see even an electron. Does that mean that the electron will defy the laws of physics? Even an electron cannot be seen. Does that mean the electron is beyond the scope of physical laws? No, not at all. Had the electron been beyond laws, you would never had electricity. You control electricity because you control electrons, because you know the laws that govern the behavior and the movement of electrons. So be it subtle, be it gross, it is within physical laws. You do not need spirituality within Prakriti. Even if there are disembodied beings, they are bound to follow equations. So then why do you need Jantar Mantar? Call a scientist rather. No, sir, but some bhuta, some preta. Looking at your face and your facial hair, isn't it time to graduate out of play school? At the age of 36, you're talking of bhuta and preta. Even kindergarten will not admit you. This is play school stuff. And why is all this done? Just to prove to the ego that it exists. The ego, because it does not exist, is so insecure of its existence that it continuously keeps inventing stories just to prove that it does exist. I exist, I am something inside. Even after the body will die, I will still exist. How will I exist? By hopping on to the next body. I am the ego. I continue to exist. Why wait for the next body? Why not this moment? Simply admit that you are not and be relieved of yourself. That's what is called liberation. In one go, just let go. But Arjun won't yield. As we said, in Prakriti there are all kinds of nuts. He is one particular hard nut. Okay. Krishna will keep trying. It's interesting, is it not? See, this is an outright pure chemical being brought here. And if I can ingest this, how do I say that I am myself not composed of chemicals? I mean, this is a laboratory reagent, is it not? Or only if I write NH4Cl, will you call it a reagent? If I write H2O, you will say, no, this is Jala. This is a lab reagent, is it not, sir? This is an outright chemical. And our bodies are 70% of it. How are we not chemical? And when you go to a path lab, all that they tell you is what kind of chemicals are up and down in the body. So magnesium, sodium, that protein, that hormone. That's all that they are measuring, right? And that's what you call as health. So health is chemicals. It's all gone, finished, nothing. Even death is now defined as the death of the brain, correct? And what is the death of the brain? How do you know that the brain has died? The neurons stop firing. And the firing of the neurons is mediated by potassium ions. So even that is chemical activity happening there. So the chemicals are not reacting in a particular way, so the man is dead. Finished. Now you know why the saints sang of themselves as Katputali. And why Sahab was extremely wise, just being factual when he said, Kabir Kutta Ram Ka. I am not alive, I am not sentient, I am a Katputali. And when you know you are a Katputali, that's when you suddenly come alive. The wave becomes the ocean. Now you also know why the Sikhs called the ultimate as Kartar. That is to acknowledge that I anyway do nothing because I am nothing. So if something appears happening, somebody else must be doing it. He is the real Karta. I am not the Karta. Because the ego is the Karta, Aham is the Karta, and the ego does not exist. So there is no Karta within. Therefore the Kartar has to be, that's the acknowledgement, Kartar. That, by the way, was the name of the village that Guru Nanak Dev himself founded, Kartarpur. They were not allowing him to do his thing in the pre-existing villages. So he founded a village and he used that village to mentor his disciples. And people came to him from all places in that little village. Most of them came, just listened to him and went back. Some stayed there, and from there ensued the whole flow of Sikhism. So much happened there. An entirely new religious stream was born, with the karta being somewhere else. So much was being done there, but without a doer. And that's what great things get done when there is no doer.